Look what I got. We're gonna read it. I figure let's go through the book like we did on the medical medium. It's a book report. So I'll read this every time I come across something that looks intriguing. We'll talk about it. And then at the end, I'll summarize the book. I like Shawn Baker, kind of. I don't really watch his videos. I don't necessarily agree with what he says, but I like that he speaks his mind and he's not afraid to go against the common plant-based everything. Everybody go vegan. It's like it's obviously not working for a lot of people, so we need to find an alternative path. Maybe it's in here. Let's find out.
I am a vegan. You are a loser.
I hate to be the bearer of immediate bad news, but Carnivore Diet, rosemary, there's sea salt, sprinkles. Looks like a cayenne pepper chopped up there. That's basically vegan. It's a vegan book. Shawn would come on. Now before we get started, you should know that I did try the carnivore diet. It was a good 6 months where it's like mainly meat. I tried olive oil once and half an avocado once and 3 broccoli florets one time, and for the most part 6 months nothing but meat, and my health turned around completely. Like it was great. And then I started getting fatigue. I couldn't find a way to make it work, but I always had this vegan mindset where I'm trying to return to plants, and I kept trying to add in plants, and now that I've like completely reversed, went on fruit-based, and I'm back on high fat, it's so much more balanced and my digestion's so much better, so I can have all these vegetables and stuff. I don't think I would go carnivore again, but I'm a big fan of meat-based, fat-based, not too much protein now. Be real with yourself. Don't do it. So I'm just reading through his intro about his life. Dude's had a tough life. He's been in Afghanistan and like burn ward hospitals helping people with 3rd-degree burns, and it just makes me think sometimes we judge others having no idea what they've been through. So I know a lot of people don't like Shawn Baker. He's very outspoken, but give the man a break. He's been through a lot. But something was weird. He said he lost his license. He was an MD, and it was kind of fishy the way they did it, but when the hospital was trying to ban him or something, the report listed several deficiencies in his care and stated that on numerous occasions he had performed a surgery that was not indicated. Like, what does that mean? Like, oh, sorry, I gave you knee surgery there. I know you came in because you had the flu. I went overboard on that one, admittedly. But how's that knee feeling now? Worse? Yeah. Yeah, it kind of hurts now. It didn't before I came in. It's probably the surgery that caused it. But how's your flu? It's gone, actually. Oh my god. Doc, you're the best. Ow, my knee. So maybe they were right to get rid of him. So basically in 2016 he went carnivore for 30 days, felt great, and then at the end of that he broke it, and he ate some nuts and fruit and a couple other things, whatever those were, muffins on pizza, and he noticed that his digestion wasn't great and he got some back pain. And I'm just thinking, that's what happens when you go on that carnivore diet. All your microbiome that like plants die off, and then you add in one thing, you can't digest it. So it's kind of dangerous in my opinion. I much prefer what I'm doing now with the balanced veggies. I get to enjoy giant bunches of cabbage. Cabbage is enjoyable. You don't know what joy is. Point is, if you're carnivore for 30 days and you feel good, and then you add in broccoli and you feel bad, you conclude that broccoli is bad, whereas the reality is you just can't digest the broccoli. But either way, you just want to be happy, so don't eat the broccoli. I get it. I was having a bunch of gas earlier, a couple weeks ago. I was like, what am I eating? So I simplified things. I'm just having green cabbage and onions at night as my vegetables instead of like broccoli, cauliflower, mushrooms, a bunch of different things. 0 gas. Green cabbage is good for the digestion. Had some broccoli the other day, gassy. So I eliminated something intelligently. Or I did the same exact thing he did. I killed off my microbiome. I'm a walking contradiction. He said he conducted a study where he just got like hundreds of people to try the carnivore diet for 90 days, and he said the vast majority of them felt better. What happened to the other people? what terrible things happened to those other people. He didn't give any details though. Just like, yeah, we did this. Some people did okay. They lived. Chapter 3, nothing that special. He's just bringing typical paleo arguments like leaves, not much calories. We would have went for the big elephants. Like, obviously, yeah, it'd be nice if a wild boar just came to your camp and laid down and died, but they don't usually do that. Colon length versus the chimpanzees. So, we're not fruit eaters. He says our digestive tract's similar to a cat and a dog, and that we should be eating meat, not like rabbits and pigs. One funny thing, when people critique the cavemen, they say, well, they actually died really young. They're like 30 years old. It's like, why would you want to mimic that lifestyle? He says, maybe. We don't really know how old skeletons are. Once you hit 30, it's hard to judge how old. So they might have been 80. They could have been 80. We're wrong. I doubt it. Shawn, nice try. He mentions 6 famous people who are proponents of meat-based diets. Half of them are dead. It's not the best example. Chapter 4, he's going to start dispelling myths surrounding the carnivore diet, and right away he says, can you get scurvy on a carnivore diet? And he's like, it's a resounding no. I'm 90% sure I had scurvy on that bitch. I might have scurvy. I might have that. I've just been noticing some weird pains. I was getting back pain, weird pains in my body, and then a vitamin C bottle washed up on shore. The gods, they protected me with the knowledge. So I think it's totally possible. Don't quote me on that. And about scurvy, he says one of the common symptoms of vitamin C deficiency is the bleeding teeth and gums. I don't think it is. Don't quote me on this, but my teeth always bled whenever I flossed on the vegan diet. When I went carnivore, that went away. When I went on the medical medium, it went back. Within 2 weeks, my teeth were bleeding again. So I was like, that's the most vitamin C ever intook in a human being, with all the celery juice and oranges. So I find most of the book so far to just be him throwing out questions. There's no answers to the questions. He's just sort of like, oh, if this is wrong, why does this happen? And cholesterol could be good. Like, there's no proof of anything in the book. There's fun charts, but I don't know where they came from. There's no, like, source underneath. It's just like, I drew this in Windows Paint. It's the truth. In this section about fiber, he says, when someone tells me that a lack of fiber leads to poor gut health, I say, how? Show me what the clinical consequences are. And in my own experience, when you're on the carnivore diet, digestion's amazing, no bloating, no gas. You can poo without fiber, it's great, until you want to add a plant back in. And all your microbiome is dead, so you can't digest that plant. And it's up to you. If you don't mind eating nothing but meat, then your digestion's going to be pretty good. But if you ever do want to add in some broccoli or cabbage or a berry, you might have problems. So that's where I would say having no fiber does lead to problems, because you don't have the bacteria boys. I do like that he focuses mostly on like what happens in real people. Like, forget all these scientists who are funding studies. Like, most studies, in my opinion, are just companies, food companies, trying to get you to buy their product. It's all about, oh, we can lower cholesterol with oat bran. Eat it. So I like that he's focusing on like real human beings. What happens when you switch? Like, he gets criticized. I know vegan gains would be like, oh, that's not science. It's like, we've seen what science does to us. Not good things. So I'm on board with that. What happens in real life? You eat a carnivore diet, do you get better? Cool. Can we repeat that now? You, and you? That's how life should work. Now we're getting into does protein damage the kidneys section. He's not really alleviating my fears around the subject. I don't see, like, in my experience, I have to say, I got gout hard from the carnivore diet, but I will say it didn't kick in until I went off the carnivore diet. So there is a safe zone where you're just full of uric acid, but it doesn't bother you. If you ever want to try to get that out with a fruit-based diet, it's over for you. It was for me. I don't know, the combination of a colitis flare-up and then switching from carnivore to fruit gave me gout. Something in that zone. I just believe that too much protein does damage the kidneys because there's too much ammonia. What are you gonna do with it? You have to get rid of it through your kidneys. That's gotta hurt. And uric acid, these things burn. I can't trust it. I've tried a couple days of higher protein. I feel worse. Less energy, less ketones. Take that. Oh, you only create sugar if you need it. I need it all the time, I guess. I feel so much more energized and clear when I'm on the super high fat, like 80%. My protein's pretty low, limited to freak little baby amounts. Here's a strange one. All cells need the same basic stuff. Therefore, if all cells require those nutrients, we can conclude that all cells contain those nutrients. So he doesn't need to eat a specialized cell to feed his cells. He can take all the nutrients from a ribeye steak, which is made up of a bunch of animal cells, and turn them into whatever my body needs. So he's saying every cell needs the same thing, and therefore you can eat any other cell to feed your cells. But isn't that like so easily debunked? Like liver contains very different nutrients than your brain, than your leg, your thigh meat. Like they're all different. We store nutrients in different places, so easily debunked. It's not even hard. I do kind of like the theory though. You think like another living animal obviously has all the nutrients that your animal body would need. So just eat the animal and you got everything. It makes sense. So I debunked myself immediately after debunking him. We got a red glow. There's construction outside. They're chopping up my bricks. He says carnosine, very anti-aging, anti-glycating. I've heard the same thing from Dr. Amin Ra. He's a huge fan of carnosine, and Gabriel Cousins. And it's a big hole in the vegan diet. There's no source of carnosine. We make it, so it's not essential, but it could be very anti-aging to eat nothing but beef. I'll be on board that train. Oh, little oxalates, how could you? He said, when you stop eating these high oxalate foods, sometimes you can experience oxalate dumping syndrome, which can manifest in several ways, including rashes, joint pain, and gastrointestinal disturbances. My favorite. There's no proof. There's just people are saying this with no, they're just like, oh, it could be. Nobody's measured it. It could be happening. The medical medium ghost said there's antioxalates in the oxalate foods that carry it out of the body, like fairies would. So I think I trust the ghost. In my opinion, there's only a couple of foods like Swiss chard where you can even feel the oxalates, and then you back off. You know, your body knows. Okay, that's too much. Juicing, I used to juice the Swiss chard, and it was like, oh, that's a weird one. So don't be crazy. But spinach, fine. Decent amounts. Baby spinach is lower. I find it strange that he says for weight loss there are likely better methods than the carnivore diet. So if your only goal is to lose weight and you have no concern for improving aspects of your health and nutrition, you might be better served by choosing another plan. I just find it weird that he would say that. Like he's writing this book trying to get you to do the carnivore diet, but why isn't it very good for weight loss? I find a lot of people are doing it for that and having success, but I've seen some people a little flubby in that meat. It's just weird that he doesn't mention why it's not the best for weight loss and doesn't give you the alternative. Just try another plan maybe. I don't know what I'm doing. Now here's some advice I should take. Not everything is diet related. And he says, like, don't overanalyze every zit, every burp, every piece of gas you got. It's like, yeah, I do that. Sometimes I'm like, oh God, it broke out. God, I could change the whole thing. Change it, start from scratch. But he says, ask yourself how your health compares to 3 months ago, rather than thinking, how does it compare to yesterday? So I agree, long term, better. Sometimes I freak out where, like, oh, I broke out in acne 3 days ago, and I'm super analyzing it, but gradually, over this past month, making the switch to OMAD, my skin's gotten better and better. It's gotten worse at times, but better and better and better. So it's much better than a month ago. Worse than maybe 3 weeks ago. It peaked and then dropped. When it comes to what should I eat, he lists basically every animal. Pork, that's fine. Whale, alligators. I don't know, like I don't agree certain. Pork is not healthy. I don't care who you are. It's a weird animal. They're too human-like. They're pink. That ain't right. They roll around in mud, in filthy cages. If we let them run free, they wouldn't roll. Yeah, I get it. But like certain things, alligators are just known. All reptiles are known to give you the parasites. Look up food poisoning and alligators, and it just happens so often. It's not something you should eat. So certain things I disagree with. Certain animals are healthy, some aren't. The shellfish, they're bottom feeders. They feed off mercury and they're eating dead bodies like they're the trash. The man upstairs created them to clean up garbage. You're gonna eat that? You're a freak. He says fat should be 50 to 80% of your calories most of the time. I think 50 is a little low. That's like chicken is 50% fat. I think you want a little high. 50% protein? That's nightmare stuff. I remember the Paleo Diet book by Lauren Cordain. He said like go over, I think it was over 45% or 35%. You start seeing troubles with nausea and like you're getting protein poisoned. So I'm wary of it. I keep it way down. I'm at like 80% fat. I'm at the top, so I'm still within his range. Let's be real here. I'm being unreasonable right now. I see it. But I think just be wary of that protein. You don't need it. You don't need it. Okay, you need it. I just proved it. He says the illnesses that seem to respond best to carnivore are depression and other mental disorders, digestive illnesses, and joint pain. And I gotta tell you, when I went carnivore, I had minor knee pain. It wasn't like, oh my God, whenever I do the pistol squats, I feel a little bit. That went away on the carnivore diet. So those vegans who are saying, oh, meat's inflammatory, seems to be the opposite. And I see a lot of people saying their arthritis goes away. Digestion, zero fiber, digestion seems better. So he's right there. And the depression also seemed to lift a little bit. So can't disagree with you there. I got the fans going. It's so hot. It's too hot. This book is very basic. There's a couple things, like, just for example, he's going through some things that people usually go through, negative symptoms on the carnivore diet, and one is skin conditions. Some people get rashes. And he says this is because ketones come out, and they're acidic. Actually, I just want to talk about that. Ketones, we eliminate them. Why? When you first go into ketosis, you get this acetone breath, and your body's just trying to get rid of them. Like, no, oh my God, these are poison. And they come out our skin, and we get a rash. And then we like, okay, we can use these for fuel, and then we start burning them. Why are they all of a sudden safe now? I'm weary. This whole ketosis plan, I'm scared to death. That wasn't what I wanted to critique him on, though. But he says headaches are another one, and upping your electrolytes might help. Like, there's zero indication, like take at least this much magnesium and this much potassium and lower your salt a bit, make sure you're getting potassium to salt in the 1-to-1 ratio, like nothing. He says your energy might dip, but he doesn't really give you tips on how to increase it. He just says, oh, your sleep might be off, and his tips are very basic. He does give some. Just shut off electronics before bed. Like, everybody says that. You could Google for 3 seconds to misinformation your own self. So he's talking about kidney function here, and he's saying a lot of people worry about high protein diets and kidney, like me. I'm one of them. He says the concern stems from data from animal studies that haven't been replicated with humans. Listen, buddy. It hasn't been studied. It showed in animals that high protein damages their kidneys. And so we're assuming it probably does to us as well. But yeah, I don't think there's a lot of studies because it's unethical to subject somebody to so much protein, kidney-wise. I've been tracking my creatinine levels since the beginning, and they rose up hard on the carnivore diet. So, and also my EGFR lowered or something. Like, you want, I forget which, the number you want it high or low, but it got worse is the point on the carnivore diet. And then I went off it, went to medical medium, and then that number came back to normal, raised or lowered, I forget. So, I don't know, there's something to be said about it. Too much protein, I wouldn't risk it. Go for the fatty carnivore, that's the way. When it comes to is grass-fed beef important versus just conventional factory farm stuff, he's like, whatever, that's fine. No need to get the grass-fed, just get the factory farm tortured animal, stabbed with hormones and antibiotics. Like, he doesn't put much faith into quality For me, like, that's everything. You want to make sure the animal had at least the best life we could have given it, ethically speaking. And then also nutrient-wise, you don't want hormones and antibiotics. Corn, cows aren't meant to eat corn. Sometimes that's all I can find, and I get organic corn-fed beef. I hope they had a good life. I can't guarantee it, but it should be okay, dietarily speaking. To me, it's super important where your meat comes from, ethically and health-wise. So I am disappointed. And then at the end of this, grass-finished beef section, he has a picture of chicken wings. It doesn't fit. You know nothing about art. You're uncouth, Baker. Now here's an interesting addition to the book. I've created a few personas to illustrate ways in which people implement the diet and realize benefits from it. Although these stories are fictional, I've created them from composites of real people. I mean, I can make up people too. There was a guy, I remember him, he bought the Monkey Strike program. His name was Fork. He was 106 pounds, couldn't lift up a sandwich, but he stuck to it. He gained 97 pounds of muscle in the first 7 days. He's one of my prized students. He's fictional, but he could happen. I just don't get it. I understand some people want their identity protected, so like, okay, I'll tell you my story, but I don't want to just change my name. But like in this very next section, he has a bunch of stories, before and afters, and people. Why do you have the fictional people first and then the real people? He makes some good points about the environment. This whole chapter was about like vegan brainwashing and their agenda to get us. If there's a meat tax, I swear to God, vegans, what the hell? But he's just comparing typical like omnivore / vegan to a carnivore, and he's just saying like how much glass, plastic, cardboard is used in these fruits and vegetables, whereas like you buy meat, I'm getting grass-fed beef in a paper package, compostable, and yet I'm getting like cauliflower in a non-recyclable plastic package. So there is a lot of waste with fruits and vegetables, and most people eat local meat versus like fruits and veggies from all around the world. That's a problem. He says most carnivore dieters eat about twice a day, and the average omnivore 5 or 6 meals a day. So if you factor in the electricity used to cook your meals, unless you're a raw vegan hippie, carnivore wins. And he says a carnivore's kitchen requires much less stuff, like all the vegans with their blenders and their juicers. I do both. I'm the worst of both worlds. But all you need on carnivore is like a pan, and a fork and a knife, a plate. Point is that they buy less stuff, and therefore less trucks are shipping and gas everywhere and less electricity. It makes sense. So he has a whack load of testimonials, and then his last chapter is just sort of like vegan arguments for the carnivore diet being bad for the environment. And I don't know, there's not a lot of conclusive evidence. The whole book is basically just asking questions. There's not a lot of answers in the book. It is exactly what I thought it would be. Just a very basic book with not a ton of... I didn't learn much, if anything, on how to do a carnivore diet better. There was no exact, like, definitely be over a teaspoon of salt. There's an ant on the book. What page do you like? He's learning right now how to do the carnivore diet. Oh, he failed. Oh, there wasn't enough information in the book. He's off the diet. He's vegan now. Oh, wow. He has a bunch of websites that might have more information, definitely more than the book. He tells you how to cook a steak a couple different ways. Traveling on the carnivore diet. And he says go to fast food restaurants and get just the burger patties. Fast food is healthy now. I just get the beef patties. I heal cancer from canola oil. I don't get how anybody could promote factory farming for the animals or for our own health or the environment. Like, it's the worst ever. I would never go to a fast food restaurant unless I had to pee. And then even then, I would pee in a cup and save it and give it to a homeless man. Happy birthday to you. So I'm gonna have to give this one a hard pass for you. I can't recommend you read it. You're not gonna learn much. I should give these things a ranking system, like 4 broccolis out of 5 broccoli. I'll come up with something better, but I would give this like a 2-star out of 5, and that's being generous. There's not much in here. I'm sorry, Shawn. He's a likable guy, I like what he's doing for the carnivore movement, fighting back against veganism. He does paint this picture like vegans are out to get us, though. Like, I don't like this separation where they're trying to, like, he's saying like meat's gonna be illegal one day if you let them get away with it. It's like, I don't think so. It's still in the stores. Why would it ever be a meat tax? Like, is that ever gonna happen? I doubt it. So we need meat, some of us. Some vegans thrive. I don't, as a vegan. We're done. Thank you so much for watching the video. Do you like the book report reviews? They take a long ass time to make. This took maybe 2 weeks. I could just be sitting at home with a fan reading my book pleasantly, but I like this. I get to remember the book more if I stop and record and talk about it. So I like the format, and I will continue regardless. Suggest books down below, and I got one coming. That guy, Joe Dispenza. It's been on hold for a long time, but it's more into the mind, how to heal with the mind. So stay tuned for that, and we're done. Thanks for watching the video, and thumbing it up, of course. I just saved you money. You don't have to buy the book now. I reviewed it for you. I literally read a book for you. Regardless of whether you agreed with my opinion, I did you a favor. So thumbing it down doesn't really make a lot of sense, ethically speaking. So the only thumbs down could possibly be if you're on an insect-based diet, but you flavor it with soy and mustard and all the plant allergens you can think of. It's a gluten-based insect soy diet. It's not even healthy. There's no cultures of people doing it, so you have neither science or history on your side. It's a waste of time. So, something crawling on me. I'm gonna leave. Thanks for buying a Vegetable Conspiracies t-shirt. Subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you on the next one.